Good evening and welcome back to Sports Talk ATL. I am Chase Earl, joined by Alex Lord. Fantastic to be back after a week off, and we have a great show for you. We are going to discuss Trae Young and his injury. Has he played the last game with the Atlanta Hawks? We've got a ton of nuggets from spring training to talk about, but we are going to start off with a nugget from NFL insider Peter King, who announced his retirement from journalism, one of the best in the business, one of the best to ever do it, and he leaves us with a parting nugget. With the Bears, will they trade the number one overall pick? He says they will. Mike Florio said something like that as well. I haven't really heard anything else. He says he knows nothing, but Peter King never doesn't know nothing. What do you think about this, Alex, or the Bears? Is there a possibility right here for the Falcons to move up in this draft if the Bears trade the number one overall pick?
I don't want to be a wet blanket, Chase. I want to be optimistic, but I don't see any way they choose Justin Fields and his contract over Caleb Williams and his contract. It boils down to something simple. Do you value Justin Fields going into the last year of his rookie contract before that fifth year option with potential draft picks to go along with that if you do trade the number one overall pick? Or do you want to reset your rookie quarterback contract with Caleb Williams? To me, it's a no-brainer. Peter King obviously plugged in. He said he doesn't know anything, but obviously, he's not coming from a place of, he doesn't know anything. He's heard some things. Yeah,
he knows something.
Yeah, so I am going to be cautiously optimistic and just play the hypothetical and go along with Peter King here for a second. And he doesn't have the Falcons moving all the way up to the number one overall pick. No, what he does is he has the Commanders trade up one. They get their pick of the litter being Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, Drake May, assumingly it is Caleb Williams. And then he has the Bears trading down again from the number two overall pick to the Falcons' 8th overall pick. The Bears come away with like 3 first-rounders in 2025, 4 first-rounders or second-rounders in 2025, and a pair of second-rounders in 2024. And the Falcons have the number 2 overall pick, seemingly for Drake May is what I would assume. He's still number 2 there for me and a lot of other people's. Chase may disagree with Jaden Daniels, but the possibility seems to be open. Peter King does not say things to just say things, especially in his farewell column.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to take it somewhat seriously.
Yeah, I mean, you have to think. I mean, this is probably the biggest column of his life.
Yes.
Like, he is literally saying a farewell, and then he's leaving us with this nugget. So there's definitely something to this, and he's not the only one reporting it. And then if you just look at how the Bears have acted, I don't know. I mean, Justin Fields, they clearly covet him. It's shocking to me because I just think there's been so much inconsistency there. I know there's been some greatness. There's been some flashes. There's been some moments. I know he's dealt with different offensive coordinators. I know that he hasn't had the best talent around him, but at the same time, we talk about it all the time. It's a cheat code in the NFL. Yeah. And not only, maybe you don't prefer Caleb Williams. Maybe I'm not one of those guys who thinks Caleb Williams should be the slam dunk number 1 overall pick in this draft. I understand why he probably is going to be, because if he turns out to be the next Patrick Mahomes, you're the NFL GM and you passed over that guy, you look like an idiot. But in the same breath, if he doesn't turn out to be that guy and you are the guy that took Drake May, all of a sudden you're the best GM in all of sports because no one else would have done that. So I don't necessarily understand. You have your pick of the litter. Go ahead and take him, whether it's Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Caleb Williams. It would still shock me. But as we say about Peter King, you go back and look at the mock drafts that he does. Yeah. I mean, almost all of them are ludicrous and no one gets anything right. I think Peter King has nailed the Falcons' last 3 picks, Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, and Drake London. He's nailed it every single time. So he is by far, when it comes to this NFL draft stuff, the most plugged in guy. He leaves us with this nugget. If you're a Falcons fan, you have to feel a little bit more excited than you did yesterday because, as we said, if there's an opportunity for the Falcons to move up in the draft, they've got to take it. And listen, Chicago does dumb stuff all the time. So it's not going to shock me if they do something dumb again. And this might not be dumb. I mean, the way that he said it, right? You get 4 first-round picks. You get 4 second-round picks over the next 2 drafts. And if you really believe in Justin Fields as a leader and stuff like that, building around him with all those resources, they've got a better roster than they did 2 years ago. You saw how they ended the season. They looked like a team that could be a playoff contender even with Justin Fields. So, it's not the wildest idea to me.
I don't think it's crazy either way because the one thing has to be true. The Bears, it doesn't matter if they have Drake May, Caleb Williams, Justin Fields, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Joe Montana. If they continue to run their franchise like they have the past decade, whoever goes in there is going to fail. And the perfect example of that is this past year. Nobody argued that CJ Stroud should have been taken over Bryce Young. And now we're having all this revisionist history where, Carolina made the dumb decision. No. The fact is that Carolina surrounded Bryce Young with absolute crap, gave him no help. Coaches were fighting about his development. His offensive line was porous. There was no weapons around him. Nobody could have succeeded in that system, including CJ Stroud. So the fact of the matter is whatever the Bears do, if they don't surround that quarterback with better talent, and they're taking steps that way, the offensive line got better this past year. DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, there are pieces in place. But the fact of the matter is if it's Justin Fields, Caleb Williams, Drake May, they still have to continue to build that infrastructure around that quarterback. Whereas the Falcons, we can send a couple of first-round picks, and it would not hurt us that bad because the infrastructure is already in place. The offensive line, returning all 5 starters. Obviously, everybody knows about the young offensive core, Bajan, Kyle Pitts, Drake London. There's others there that, Tyler Algier. Is Jonnu Smith going to be in the picture? The Falcons are in the perfect position to kind of get rid of some draft picks to solidify the quarterback position. So for the Falcons, it's a no-brainer. For the Bears, you have more to kind of consider.
Yeah, I think what a lot of people don't realize about quarterbacks is there's probably 3 of them, maybe 3 of them in the entire league that can succeed no matter what.
Right.
And the rest of them, 80-90% of these guys need the right pieces in places, whether it's the offensive. Even if you go back to the Falcons and Matt Ryan, Matt Ryan needed the pieces in place, a good offensive line, good wide receivers, a Kyle Shanahan to really reach the peak of his game. That's how we're talking about that guy as a potential Hall of Famer. That is 95% of the quarterbacks in this league need the right pieces in place. Go look at Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson was a guy that was a perennial MVP candidate in Seattle, and they didn't have a ton of weapons in Seattle or a great offensive line, but he had a situation where he was comfortable with. He knew the players. He had that rapport. He knew the coaching staff. He had an offensive coordinator that he was familiar with. And then he goes to Denver, and Sean Payton's a great offensive mind, but there wasn't the pieces in place, and everything wasn't clicking, and all of a sudden the guy looks like a scrub that might be without a job. And we're talking about another future Hall of Famer. So there's not many guys that are going to succeed in this league without the proper pieces in place, from the coaching staff to the offense and everything else. Yeah.
Big picture, circumstances matter. Circumstances certainly matter. And I think, vice versa can go a long way, where a team or a system is like the Falcons, who are begging for a good quarterback to come in. Vice versa. It works both ways, where the quarterback needs a system, the supporting cast, and the supporting cast certainly needs the quarterback. You look at the 49ers traded all those picks for Trey Lance, and they found a guy in Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, who was the answer. So like I said, obviously Desmond Ridder and Taylor Heineke are not the answer for Atlanta. And I think that you would be foolish to think that trading multiple first-round picks and second-round picks to go get your guy at the top of the draft. Oh, we need to keep building out the roster. We've been doing that. We've been doing that for the past few years, kicking the can down the road, kicking the inevitable, we're going to go all in on a quarterback. We tried it with a 3rd-round pick and Desmond Ridder, a very high-quality backup veteran in Taylor Heineke. It didn't work. The obvious choice now, if it's possible, is to mortgage several first-round picks so you can go get that franchise quarterback. Now, totally different avenue. If that doesn't come to fruition, kicking the can down the road, not forcing the issue is certainly a possibility. And we're going to discuss it at some point in this offseason, that it is a reality Falcons fans should maybe wrap their heads around.
Yeah, I know. We've talked about Kirk Cousins. You talk about Russell Wilson. You talk about those stopgap options. If it does go quarterback, those are realistic possibilities. Yep. But this is why this is such a tantalizing nugget from Peter King, is because it opens up Pandora's box and the possibility that the Falcons could trade up. And when you look at the teams that are outside of the top 3, the Falcons are in a prime position. They have the 8th overall pick. No one else between that 4 and 8 spot is really dead set on quarterback. Maybe the New York Giants. Obviously, we don't know how they see Daniel Jones. I imagine they're definitely going to be in the market for a quarterback, but the Falcons are in a prime position that if one of those picks become available, they can move up. And whether it's the 2nd or the 3rd or the 1st, like Peter King is suggesting, you have to go all in if you get the opportunity. And I think they will. They've made it very clear that they kind of want to do that.
Yep.
Coming up after the break, Trae Young, has he played his last game in a Hawks uniform? We're going to discuss it.